It's a reflection of what life is like. I mean, even in its what can arguably be, a very dark moment, you have to find those, that ray of sunshine in the darkness. You know what I mean?
Today, I am speaking to Rick Glassman and Joe Mantegna for their new show, As We See It, for Amazon. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Hey, Alyssa, thank you for doing it.
Yeah. My first question is for Rick. The dynamic between Jack and Lou was really powerful to see on screen because I felt like they were constantly trying to communicate, but they just couldn't get through to each other, which feels, pretty universal, but also very specific to the autistic experience. Can you tell me a little bit about that dynamic?
Yes. When I was a kid, in real life, I had a lot of obstacles with seeing different therapists, different medications, having to go to special classes, having to go to special schools. And I hated it because I was embarrassed and I didn't want my friends to know where I was, and et cetera. And going through this show, combination of going through this show and seeing the subject matter, but also being an adult and coming into some more awareness recently, I'm watching some of the stuff that Joe's character, Lou, is going through. And I didn't even realize it until the show that, wow, that was really hard on my parents. And I was really hard on my parents. Yeah. And it helped me connect as an actor, because this is, you want to do this stuff right. But there was some reliving going through it. And Joe is very much, I'll probably say this during some other interviews, but Joe is very much like my father in real life too. Yeah. So having these things come up, but also having the between the scenes of Joe just being so funny and laughing with me and like saying in an indirect way, everything's okay. It really made it special. Yeah. It made it a special process for me, and what I believe came out on the show.
Yeah, definitely. My next question is for Joe. With Lou's cancer diagnosis, the storylines that you guys had together were pretty heavy, but I really enjoyed the scene with the edibles because it felt like such a moment of joy. That had to be cathartic.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, and it's a reflection of what life is like. I mean, even in its what can arguably be, a very dark moment, you have to find those, that ray of sunshine in the darkness. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, so for me, again, it's just a testament to the quality of the writing. I mean, the writing is good in that way that it can take you from this one kind of thing and flip it over and take it to another direction. So we're balancing, what could be a serious kind of situation, and then balancing it with a certain amount of humor. And also being a parent, which I am, of a 34-year-old daughter with autism, there's so much that I can personally relate to all of this, and it's true to form. And so it's easy to act when the material is honest,
As Joe always says, if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage.
That's right.
Excellent advice. Well, that is all the time that I have. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I'm Alyssa Fikse. I'm here from PopCulture.com, and today I am talking to Albert Rutecki and Sosie Bacon about their new show, As We See It, for Amazon. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thanks for having us.
Nice to talk to you.
Yeah. My first question is for Albert. This is your first major acting credit. What was it like to jump into a major Amazon production like this?
Scary, but really fun.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to act. I've done like little things like community theater or student films and stuff. And this was so exciting that I who finally got to do what I love, and students with like a really good cast and crew, who it was a lot to take in. Like inside, there's just a lot of stuff going on in where I was like, do I deserve this? Will I do a good job? What if I mess up? But in the end, you can see like everyone was like supporting each other, and I feel like we did the characters justice. Like we did a good job with the show, and I'm just really glad that I was able to be part of that.
Yeah, you did a wonderful job. So my next question is for Sosie. Mandy is such a deeply relatable character, just in terms of being pulled everywhere, but still feeling stuck. What was it like tackling a character like that?
It was cool. It was really cool because I feel like young women are portrayed in all of these various ways. And I was grateful to see, a young woman who both was confident and organized and had her stuff together, and then also was human and messy and had faced challenges, and as much as she didn't want to, she hurts people's feelings, and then she's able to get through those moments with those people. And I similar to what Albert said in other moments, I think there's an archetype of all sorts of things. There's an archetype of people with autism or with young women. And like, I really feel like this show it showed imperfections in everybody and successes in everybody. And that felt very real to me. So I really appreciated that, to be playing a young woman that felt like someone who I know, or me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's all the time that I have. I really enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I'm here with PopCulture.com speaking to Sue-Ann Pien and Chris Peng about their new show, As We See It, on Amazon. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thanks for having us, Alyssa. How are you?
Good. So my first question is for Sue-Ann. Violet has such a dramatic arc over the course of this season, and I feel like, she so desperately wants to be seen and understood by the people around her. Can you tell me a little bit about what she goes through?
Yeah. Violet, Violet's a young adult finding her place in the world. And sorry, I'm smart. I just had a marshmallow right before.
No problem. I understand.
She's on the spectrum. She's autistic.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, let me get that out.
Violet.
So I think so Violet is somebody who's trying to, carve a way to have a life, have a normal boyfriend, have normal friends, have a normal job, without being hampered by this overbearing brother who constantly is trying to control every aspect of her life.
Yeah, definitely. And so for Chris, Van is in such a tough spot because he kind of had to become her guardian at such a young age. That's a lot of pressure for a guy in his 20s.
Yeah, well, it's one thing to have a sibling to look after that's in your care, but she's also on the spectrum. And so that presents its own difficulties. And he's just an average guy, he just wants to live life. He wants to go hang out with his girlfriend, have a good time, and go out for a drink, but he just has no time because Violet's taking up all of his mental space. So that's kind of his journey.
Yeah, definitely. Sue-Ann, what do you think sets As We See It apart from other depictions of the autistic spectrum in pop culture?
Oh my God. First of all the actors that are playing autistic characters are autistic. Yeah. And I think you're going to get a level of depth. I don't know if you saw the show, but emotionality and just truth that you just wouldn't get if the actors don't have that in their bones, in their body.
Yeah.
I know that's true of me playing Violet.
Yeah, definitely. Chris, where do you kind of hope that Van ends up if you guys get a second season?
Oh, can I give spoilers away? I mean, look, when we meet Van, he's very, very tough. He gives that traditional Asian love, which is that, yeah, I don't love you, basically. And we see a bit of that journey throughout season 1. And by the end of it, he's able to sort of tell Violet how he feels and show that softer side of him. And I just hope if we can continue that we can really, really discover who Van is, because I think he's a beautiful person inside. It's kind of like the Tasmanian devil. It's like, he's like all that up in your face. But when you get to know him, he's fun. And there's another side to him. And I'd love to see that come out more.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Sue Ann, with Violet, I really enjoyed seeing her deal with romance this season, which I feel like is not something that we get to see depicted in pop culture. How was it, playing that side of her?
I mean, literally, it was. I have been on dates where, personally, as Sue Ann, somebody said, I'm going to the bathroom, and they never came back.
That's horrible.
It was horrible, right? People are,
yeah.
When I met my wife, my partner, I'm married, and it happens to be female. She was like, I'm gonna go put some money in the meter, and I was like, on our first date, and I was like, she's never coming back, and she didn't come back, and she kept coming. Yeah. So it's so realistic. It was like, God, that's like really realistic of the dating world and how hard it is for somebody on the spectrum. It was hard for me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's all the time I have. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I am here with Jason Katims to talk about his new show, As We See It, for Amazon.com. How are you doing today?
Good. Hi, Alyssa. How are you?
Great.
Good.
So I wanted to talk to you because it feels like with your work, these are always good people trying to do good, even when they hurt each other. And to me, that feels especially necessary right now, don't you think?
Well, I think so. I mean, I think that this is that like you just put, like my entire, life's work into like 5 seconds. So I'm a little concerned that you were able to do that. But yeah, to me, that's one of the things that I've always believed in. I believe that people are trying to do their best. It's one of the things I've always started with. Like, I think that people are always trying, and yes, people are flawed and they make mistakes and they get their hearts broken and they do good things and they do bad things, but they're trying to do their best. That's something that I always try to bring into the shows. And I think that is kind of part of what makes, when it works, it makes us get really connected to these characters and makes us really feel when we're watching these shows, and hopefully makes the show feel kind of relatable.
Yeah, definitely. Now, in terms of the depiction of people with autism in pop culture, a lot of times it's been, sort of insensitive and problematic. So what steps did you take to, ensure that these stories were handled with care?
Right. Well, there's been nothing more important to me in telling this story than trying to do it with, sort of respect and dignity to everybody involved, and particularly to the neurodiverse, characters. And so the main step the first thing that happened when the show was greenlit was I called Cami Patton, who's a casting director, who I knew would be great for this show because she's personally connected to the material, and said, I want to try to cast the show authentically. That was literally the first thing we did when the show was greenlit, and Amazon was completely on board with that idea. And so we did a search for the 3 leads and wanted to cast them, if possible, all, with neurodiverse actors. And, the result of that is the show that you've seen, these 3 incredible actors, Sue Ann and Albert and Rick, who all identify as being on the spectrum. So that was like the first, thing that we did. We also tried to have neurodiverse voices on both sides of the camera on the show. So we had people in the writer's room, in the editing room, on set, in the in the production office, and it was something that was very important, I think, in trying to make the show feel as authentic and real as possible. And and of course, there's nothing. This is a very personal show to me. I mean, I have a son who's on the spectrum. And so, I really wanted to take care to try to, honor, the characters that the show is talking about.
Great. Well, I think it definitely does that. So I think you succeeded.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's all the time that I have. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Thank you, Alyssa. Great talking to you.